Hey everybody, I'm John Janawicz, member of Kegel's lane maintenance team and USBC Hall of Famer. Being involved with lane maintenance with Kegel for the last 22 years, and being a competitive bowler for most all of my life, one of the most commonly asked questions that comes to me on social media, via email, and sometimes right in person at the tournament site is, how do I play this pattern? This leads into a really complex answer, which takes into consideration the lane surface and its age, topography, the type and condition of the lane machine that's being used to oil the lanes with, the player's skill set, and the equipment they're using. Well, this is the next installment of an educational series of videos where we try lining up on different patterns and see if the pattern plays the way we think it should. We'll also show you why certain parts of the lane will play better than others, show why certain ball selections will be better than others, and since we have the unique setup of having the two most common lane surfaces used today in Brunswick ProLane and AMF SPL, you'll be able to see the differences of each lane surface's characteristics. For today's show, we'll be talking about how to handle the cliff wet dry wall. Now obviously ball motion with a set pattern will vary from center to center, but when patterns are created, they are created based on the lane surface that they will be bowled on. We're now back at the lab with the near flat lane surfaces at 2051 Longleaf Boulevard to test more patterns. Speaking about Area 2051, Kegel created this multi-purpose test center to be able to test new lane conditioners and potentially do overflow batch testing for our lane conditioners, and to test patterns and new lane machines in a private and secluded environment away from the world-renowned Kegel Training Center. It also provides us some tech support, an area to be able to help troubleshoot problems customers may be having with their current and legacy lane machines, and also a place to educate customers on lane machines and pattern theory. This is the ideal environment to see how true a pattern will play. So if it plays different than what you see at your center, you can chalk that up to differences in the lane machine, surface, and lane conditioner. Each month we will be using a different lane machine and or chemicals, so that way you the viewer can see the difference in how the ball slows down. This month we'll be going old school from 2003 using the Phoenix S Model C with the original smoothing pads along with Prodigy lane conditioner and Defense C mixed at 5-1. Prodigy was designed in 2005 and is still our best-selling lane conditioner. It was designed to help centers combat pin slide and ball call issues, and is being used in this episode to help magnify the wet as it plays a little bit on the slicker side. This month's pattern is the house pattern that embodies the phrase cliff wet dry. This pattern is 45 feet with a drop brush at 45 feet as well, and an average volume of 24.65 milliliters. Now as you can see in the load structure, there are nothing but 11-11s all the way down, and the same with the reverse pass, with the exception of a lone 2-2 on the reverse pass starting at 12 feet. Now it isn't a pattern that we'd recommend for any center, but some centers with their lane surface and topography combinations can create this violent side-to-side wet dry. So between house conditions and sometimes in late games in tournament play, you'll see this kind of ball reaction to some degree in your bowling life. So it's best to know some options on how to best attack this kind of pattern design and or corresponding ball reaction. Now if you don't know exactly what all these numbers mean, and you wanted to learn a little bit more about the specifics of reading patterns, click on the link for the webinar that Gus Folgine and Doug Dukes did on our YouTube page. For most tournaments and league play, 10 minutes of practice is standard. You can get off about 30 total shots if you're ready to go, assuming no pin setter issues. Since we'll be testing 3 different zones on 2 different lane surfaces, that'll be about 10 shots in each zone total, which is basically 5 shots on each lane in each zone. Now since there is an extreme amount of wet dry from side to side, we have to find ways to try and smooth that out. And some of that will be done with bowling balls, and some of that will be done with technique. To me, if the technique is correct, it allows for a little more wiggle room in your bowling ball selection. Knowing that, I'm going to try and lower my axis rotation so that way the ball is a little smoother in the dry and hopefully won't skid as much in the oil. And in this episode, we're going to be using 2 different balls in the same zone of the lane just to show you how differently they read the pattern. Now for the most part, we want to use equipment that has enough traction in the oil, but at the same time will help minimize the violent reaction off the dry in case we leak one a little bit outside. Now the way I like to line up is when I have an idea of where I need my ball down the lane, which in this case will probably be in that 9 to 12 zone down the lane, the next thing to figure out is what is the best way to get to that spot. Straighter, or with a little bit more angle through the front. Which strategy gives you the most margin of error? More often than not, one or the other will give you a little bit more mistake room. In case they both seem to be the same, I like to go a little bit straighter because I feel you'll be a little bit less susceptible to transition, and it'll be a little bit easier moving to the next pair from my experience. For Zone 1, I'll be attempting to throw a Storm Crux Prime with my standard 65 by 5 by 35 layout, a little straighter around 11, a little more up the back of the ball with a lower rev rate to see how ball reaction is going straighter. For me, this cover doesn't react too strong off the dry and has enough traction to handle the wet, or at least I'm hoping so. Now for Zone 2, I'm going to use the Storm High Road Nano with a 65 by 5.5 by 35 layout with some surface at 3000 grit, trying to go around 16, 17, 18 to that 9 to 12 range down the lane. I'm going to see with a little surface with this cover and a little softer speed to get a little bit, we'll get some traction in the oil, but the slower response cover and being a little bit more up the back of it will help smooth out the dry. And for the third zone, I will use the Rotos Grip Hypercell Skid with the JJ Special layout in the same zone as the High Road Nano to see how a ball that's a lot cleaner and quicker off of the dry will roll. Now, I would think the skid would probably be the least stable option, but hey, that's what this series of videos is all about, to be able to see what the good and the bad options are by identifying that in ball motion. Now, let's see how well we can handle 45 feet of frustration. Using the Crux Prime, I had a decent look, but you can see with the shots that I get online to going a touch left how much the ball skids. You can see through the progression of shots. In shot 2, I got it about a board right at the arrows and down the lane and a 2-pin. Shot 3 that was about a half a board farther right of the 2-pin and about 0.4 of a mile an hour slower, and it went dead flush. On shot 4, I got it left of that about a board and a half at the arrows and 2 boards down the lane, and I left a bucket. Just characteristics of the classic cliff wet dry. Now in shot 5, I threw almost identical to shot 3, and I got a same dead flush result. And for those of you that are wondering why I was taking some hand out of the ball and using more speed, in shot 6, I just decided to use my normal release and tried to key on missing a shade right, and I nearly started a fire at 20 feet. So after that shot, you can kind of see why in that zone I was playing the lanes the way I was doing just to try to keep the ball on line. Using the High Road Nano, you could see with the bigger flaring core combined with the slower, stronger cover with a shade of surface just blends everything out really, really nicely. Shot 1, I threw really well and it went dead flush, and I got the scam messenger on shot number 2, coolstrikes.com. On shots 3 and 4, I got both of those in about 2.5 boards down the lane, and they both went flush. Now remember, when using the Crux Prime, when I got that 4th shot 2 boards left down the lane, I left the bucket. With this ball, the technique and the angle, the balls went dead flush. Shot 5, I got back to the right, just like I did on the first 2 shots, and it came off it really smooth, and 10 straight back. This is the land of milk and honey when it comes to ball motion. Using the Hypercell Skid in the same spot, you can see with shot number 1 how the ball came in light, and you'll notice this will be a recurring theme. Shot 2 is an excellent shot, but shot 3 I got 2 boards left down the lane, and I left the 2-8. Remember the Crux Prime ball reaction, very similar theme here, missing in 2 boards and leaving a 2-pin combination. As you can see with the next 2 shots, I got shot 4 going back toward the friction down the lane and got the light love tap on the 10-pin with the old head pin running interference, but in shot 5 I threw nearly the identical shot, but not getting the 10-pin out. The cleaner cover is making this ball get down the lane much further. And even though having the added back end of the Hypercell Skid is making up a lot of ground in the last 2 panels to get the ball back to the pocket, the pin carrier isn't quite as reliable since the ball is too deep into the lane. The first shots in each of the 3 zones will be in the same spot as they were in the ProLane, and after the initial shot, I'll throw 5 more just to see how ball reaction compares. The first shot in zone 1, I threw really well and struck, and on shot 2, I got a touch inside and still kicked out the 10. The key thing to notice is how I got these shots in a little bit more on line, but unlike on the ProLane where I would leave a 2-pin in a bucket, these balls are now hitting half pocket. The added friction of the SPL is now creating more traction overall, but especially noticeable when I get the balls on line to a little bit inside. I almost had another cool strike in shot 3, and even though my carry isn't the greatest as an evidence of shot 4, you'll notice how quick it locked up on shot 5 to go high flush when I leaked the ball a little bit right. Pin carry is only about 50%, and it's pretty easy for me to hit the pocket, and there's no fear of me leaving a 2-pin missing left, so that's always a good sign. With the High Road Nano in zone 2, standing in the same place on the ProLane, the first shot went flush. I account that for the fact that I am in the thick part of the pattern, and there's so much oil inside a 10 that the ball will still stay on line, even though it felt to me that it was slowing down a little bit more on the body of the pattern, a little more so than on the ProLane. Shot 2 is another good shot, but shot 3 I got it right a little quick, and it sparked up for a 310. I moved 2 and 1 left to try to have that miss still hit the pocket for the next 3 shots. Even though this is a higher friction surface, you can see on those next 3 shots how all the balls are starting to come in light to half pocket. I'm in the deeper part of the lane now, and the ball is definitely going longer. But the good thing is, the ball is still hitting the pocket and is still struck on 2 of those last 3 shots. With the Hypercell skid, the first shot standing in the same spot as with the Nano I threw really good, and the result was not having a spare to shoot. Shot 2, I stayed in the same spot and got a touch in, and it rung a 10 pin. Now you can also see in shot 3 with the ball going a little bit longer and behind the head pin, the pin carry is definitely not as good. Since I knew the dry was a little strong based off of the Nano, I decided to make the same 2-in-1 left like I did with the Nano to see if the carry might improve if I got it to the dry a little bit quicker. Well, I got it online, and fortunately, I didn't pay a penalty, but you can see how much longer the ball went when I missed that dry window at the end of the oil pattern. After duplicating the exact same shot in shot 5, caving in another 2-pin, I decided to move back 2-in-1 to the right where I was for shot 6, and I went right back to bad pin carry as a result of the ball going a little bit too long and too deep into the lane. Rolling the 2-pin when I move left, and bad carry when I move back to the right, I think there's greener pastures in the other 2 zones. What ball and zone would I start in? Well, on the ProLane, I would definitely use the High Road Nano in zone 2. The combination of the slower, stronger cover, the bigger track flare, and the softer speed in the oil really blended out the pattern nicely. I didn't have the overskid like I had with the Hypercell skid when I missed inside in that same zone, and I definitely had better pin carry overall than the Crux Prime in zone 1, trying to throw it a little bit straighter. Now on the SPL lane, it was a little tougher decision, but I still think I would go with the High Road Nano. Even with the added friction of the surface, I still retained pretty good pin carry. The Crux Prime in zone 1 was a pretty close second, only because I knew I could still hit the pocket when I missed inside, unlike on the ProLane, where some of those combinations left a 2-pin or just wouldn't strike. Hitting the pocket easily is still the key for me, but it still felt pretty easy to hit the pocket with the High Road Nano, and considering the Nano still gave me traction when I missed left, that's what sold me on it. The big thing for me when dealing with these wet-dry walls is having the right technique more than anything else. Being more up the back of the ball is key, so that way it'll roll more in the oil, and then when it hits the dry outside, it'll go a little bit more forward instead of sideways. Now as far as speed goes, it's just a matter of being slow enough so you can avoid the 210s when you miss inside. Once the technique is correct, then use the balls to help fine-tune the ball reaction. Hope you enjoyed this edition of JJ's Pattern Reviews, and stay tuned for more pattern reviews in the near future.